Today I'll be reading The Littlest Leaguer, written by Sid Hoff. And this is a really old book. Of all the players in the Little League, Harold was the littlest. And the sign says to ball field. "Maybe you ought to go home and come back next year," said Shirley, the shortstop. "Maybe you ought to go home and not come back at all," said Big Leon, who played first base because he had such a long reach. It's not very nice. This only made Harold try harder, though. He tried in the infield, but ground balls did not have to take much of a hop to go over his head. He tried in the outfield, but the other outfielders had longer legs and could move under a fly ball faster. Harold tried to make up for all this as a hitter, but there seemed to be no bat light enough for him, and the ball zoomed past him before he could swing. "Please don't feel badly, but I'm afraid there's only one place I can put you," said Mr. Lombardo, the coach. He put Harold on the bench. Harold sat there game after game, wearing out the seat of his pants. Sometimes he took care of the team bats. Sometimes he brought them cold drinks. "I'm tired of being so little," thought Harold, and he stayed out in the rain when a game was stopped, hoping it would make him grow like the flowers. All it did was make him wet. "Maybe you ought to try eating green vegetables," said Shirley when the team went home. "Better still, try forgetting where we play," said Big Leon. That night, Mr. Lombardo came to Harold's house. He knew his littlest leaguer needed cheering up. "You're letting your size bother you. There have been many great baseball players who were not tall," said the coach, and Harold's father agreed with him. The two men talked about short players who were in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and Harold listened until he had to go to sleep. So Harold kept sitting on the bench, game after game, until it was the last game of the season. The winner of this game would be the Little League champions. The score was 0-0. Harold watched Shirley catching line drives and making great plays at shortstop. But in the top of the third, the score was still 0-0. He watched Big Leon using his long reach to take throws from all over the infield and get runners out at first base. But in the top of the seventh, the score was still 0-0. "Oh, if only I could help them, really help them," thought Harold as his team came in to take their final turn at bat in the last half of the ninth inning. "Move over," said Big Leon, shoving him off the bench. Big Leon is not very nice. Harold sat on the ground knowing he didn't deserve to sit with the team. He just kept sitting there thinking of all those short players in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Then with 2 out, the next 3 batters got infield hits, and Harold's team had the bases loaded. "Ow!" cried a voice. It was Big Leon getting ready to bat. He had stepped in a hole and twisted his foot. "I can't walk on it. I can't even stand on it," said Big Leon as they helped him back to the bench. "Harold, it's up to you now. We need a hit to win. The bases are loaded, and all our pinch hitters are sick from too many cold drinks. Will you please go to bat for us?" asked Mr. Lombardo. Harold walked to the plate. He stood as tall as possible, hoping to scare the pitcher. But Knuckles Smith, the opposing pitcher, threw a fastball right across the plate. "Strike 1, shouted the umpire. Knuckles wound up and pitched again. This time, he threw his curve. "Strike 2, shouted the umpire. On the bench, Harold's team groaned. Some of them got ready to leave. "It's all over," said Big Leon. Then Harold got an idea. He crouched at the plate as small as possible. He crouched so low and became so small that Knuckles could not find the strike zone. The next pitch came towards the plate, but it was too high. "Ball 1, shouted the umpire. Knuckles threw again and again, but one pitch was too low and the other was too wide. The count was 3 balls and 2 strikes. The next pitch would decide everything. "Come on, Harold," shouted Shirley on the bench. "Keep your eye on the ball," shouted Big Leon. "Make him put it where you want it," shouted the rest of the team, and Mr. Lombardo looked as if he was praying. The ball floated towards the plate. It was Knucklesmith's slow ball, his change of pace, which always fooled batters. Harold closed his eyes and swung with all his might, and pow! He connected. The ball was going, gone over the fence for a home run. Harold ran around the bases from first to second, from second to third. He crossed home plate, and his teammates picked him up and carried him on their shoulders. "Harold, you may be the littlest leaguer, but today you were the biggest leaguer of them all," said Mr. Lombardo, and even Big Leon was cheering. So Harold did not give up, and he kept trying, and he did what he could with bringing water to his team and picking up the bats, and then he had his moment. So don't ever give up.